The Lexus RX has been a staple in suburban America since its debut in 1998. However, as American consumers increasingly gravitate towards crossovers and SUVs, the competition has gotten more intense year after year after year. So, does the 2020 RX still have what it takes to be the best of the bunch? Well, let's find out. This particular RX you see here is the RX450 hybrid, and as you'll find out in a second, I think this is actually the best of the bunch to buy. So right away, let's break down some quick numbers, and don't worry, I'm going to have more math for you in a second for all the math nerds out there. Now, while you can get into a standard RX350 for just over $44,000, this RX450 hybrid actually starts at $46,750. You see, the standard RX is actually front-wheel drive. Once you add all-wheel drive to the RX350, there's only about a $1,000 difference between that and this hybrid model, which, again, the math works out great here because of the difference in MPGs, as you'd expect from a hybrid model. However, there's a bit more to it than that, because interestingly, the RX450 hybrid is actually more powerful and quicker than the standard RX350, because while they both use the same V6 engine under the hood, this obviously has hybrid electric batteries in the back to send more power to all four wheels. The end result is a 13 horsepower bump, as well as a really nice hit of torque down low from those electric batteries. Of course, there's more to it than horsepower, because the RX450 hybrid is obviously much more fuel efficient than the RX350 it's based upon. Now, if you're looking at a regular RX350, even the more fuel efficient front wheel drive model, you're looking at 20 mpg city, 27 mpg freeway. This hybrid is rated at 31 mpg city and 28 mpg freeway. Now, while just one more mpg on the freeway isn't much, that's not where hybrids shine. Instead, it's around town. You see that huge jump from 20 mpg city to 31. That 11 mpg boost obviously has a huge effect on the combined number, that average mpg you can really expect driving the car day to day. Because while the RX350 is rated at 22 mpg combined, this RX450 hybrid is rated at 30 mpg combined, which is a huge 8 mpg boost overall. So what does MPG numbers mean to you? Well, let's do some real world math here. Let's say you drive 15,000 miles per year. That's a pretty well expected average for most people in the United States. So if you drive 15,000 miles per year in your RX350, averaging 22 miles to the gallon, you're going to use 680 gallons of fuel per year. Meanwhile, in the RX450 hybrid, averaging 30 miles to the gallon, you will only use 500 gallons of fuel per year. Not only are you saving 180 gallons of fuel per year from being used, which is great for the environment, but it's also saving you money in your wallet, because let's assume gas is an average of $2.50 a gallon. Now, of course, it's always way more than that here in LA, but obviously it's much cheaper in the rest of the country. So $2.50 is a nice, easy number. Now, if you save 180 gallons of fuel per year times $2.50 per gallon, you're saving $450 per year at the pumps, which obviously after just over 2 years, more than makes up for the initial cost of the hybrid over the regular RX350 in the first place. And after that, it's all just more money saved for you. As much as I love crunching numbers, and boy do I love crunching numbers and talking about stats, let's talk about some subjective things about the RX450 hybrid and what you're really going to expect with this vehicle. First off is the interior. Now, I'm a big fan of the interior of this vehicle. Almost every surface is coated with a nice black leather contrasted by this silvery white stitching, as well as this aluminum look plastic trim. There are also some additional niceties like the actual timepiece in the dash, which is a Lexus stalwart tradition. They've always done that. But more than that, there is the tech in this vehicle, because every new car is loaded to the brim with tech, and this car is no exception. Let's talk safety features, because the Lexus RX has a bunch of them. First up, 10 airbags in this vehicle, including knee airbags, which is really cool. Then this car also has Lexus Safety System Plus 2.0, and sorry, I'm going to have to read off a list for this. This is Lexus's suite of active and passive safety tech, and there's just so many things bundled with that. So here we go. Lane trace assist, road sign assist, where it sees road signs up ahead and lets you know about them. Pre-collision system of pedestrian detection, dynamic radar guided cruise control, lane departure alert with steering assist, and intelligent automatic high beams. This car also has the optional blind spot monitoring pack, which gives you the blind spot monitors in the mirrors over here, as well as the super cool panoramic view backup camera, as well as rear cross traffic alert braking. Now, I've talked about this in previous videos of previous cars, but rear cross traffic alert, you know, when you put the car in reverse, this backup camera, again, shows you that super wide panoramic view, and if it can sense, you know, pedestrians, other cars, whatever, coming at you in your blind spots, not only will it beep and let you know they're coming, but it will do an emergency brake if it thinks you're not going to react fast enough. Really clever stuff there. And a key part of tech in all new cars are the screens, and boy does Lexus have some screens to talk about. First up, in the central gauge cluster, there are two nice analog gauges, really clear, really crisp, easy to read while you're driving. Those are supplemented by this nice little digital gauge right in the middle that gives you pertinent driving information, you know, tire pressure, MPGs, remaining fuel, things like that. That's really nice. Of course, this also has the optional 12.3-inch central infotainment display, which is gorgeous. This huge display, nice and stretched out on the dash, is crystal clear and easy to read. It also has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay capability, which is a nice thing because I have to give this screen demerits for how you use it. Now, like all new Lexus vehicles, the RX uses the remote touch interface down here. This RTI system is actually a trackpad that controls what's happening on the screen. And unfortunately, unlike some of the competition like you'd see with BMW's iDrive or Audi MMI or Mercedes Command, it's just a little bit imprecise. You tend to fumble around with the trackpad and more often than not miss the prompts you're looking for on the screen. It's not terrible, and the more I use it, the better I get with it, but it's obviously not ideal. Hello there, you join me in the back seat of the RX. This is definitely the advantage of buying the RX over the smaller NX or UX crossover SUVs. I have the driver's seat in my seating position, and at 6'1", I have tons of knee room, tons of headroom back here. I can even fit in the middle seat of this 5-seater in a pinch, though it is a little bit tight. Though, for those of you who need even more space, Lexus has finally debuted a 3-row variant of the RX called the RXL, which goes from 5 seats to 7. So, if this video has you interested in the RX and this vehicle looks appealing to you and you need even more space, the RXL has you covered. Also, it's worth noting that the tech does continue back here because this vehicle has two 2.1 amp fast charger USB ports down here, as well as 2 up front. So everyone in this vehicle can have their device plugged in and fast charging. Now, it's really hard to tell you every single fact and feature about a car in just a 10-ish minute YouTube video. However, I've shown you a lot of good things about this car on paper, as well as good things you can experience about the interior of this vehicle. But the drive from behind the wheel is also an important fact about this thing. Now, one thing I really like about the RX is it's so dedicated to what it's good at. Unlike some of its Germanic and European rivals, this does not have sporting pretensions. Now, sure, you can get an RX with the F Sport package, which gives it more aggressive bodywork and the adaptive, sportier suspension. But you can really skip that unless you want it for aesthetic reasons. I'm really a big fan of how comfort-oriented the RX450 hybrid is. It doesn't have sporting pretensions. It's comfortable, it's quiet, it's spacious, and it drives as such. This is a really easy to drive vehicle. Now, I put my girlfriend in this car and asked what her thoughts and opinions were. I put her in pretty much every car I get now and ask, you know, what do you think about it? Because she's not a car enthusiast. She's a regular person who just buys a car because she needs to go from A to B. And the number one thing she said compared to a lot of the vehicles I drive nowadays is she liked the seating position. The visibility out of this vehicle is great. It's really nice. It's really easy to kind of see where the nose of the car ends, and in general, just it has the higher seating position is really nice. Additionally, the visibility in the RX is excellent. There's no blind spots. There's nice glass all around you. It makes it really easy to, you know, do lane changes and park this thing and not be worried about it. Now, I know I mentioned it up front near the beginning of the video, but I'm actually a huge fan of this powertrain. Now, at first, I read the numbers and the stats, and I'm like, well, only 30 mpg from a hybrid? That doesn't sound very good. Until I realized that literally every other vehicle in this segment, the Audi Q7, BMW X5, Mercedes GLE, the Jag F-Pace, the Acura MDX, the Infiniti QX60, while some of those vehicles can be opted with a hybrid powertrain, regardless of which model you buy, none of them get over 30 miles to the gallon. So in this segment of vehicle, you know, this mid-size SUV segment, the RX hybrids alone in offering 30 plus MPG capability. Also, it's interesting that the few vehicles who do or did offer hybrid variants, you know, there is the MDX hybrid and there was an Infiniti QX60 hybrid, They are all notably less powerful than this thing. They're all around 250 horsepower, while this thing is over 300 horsepower, which is really nice. Now, it's worth noting that if you want to go on the higher end of the spectrum, this is a $60,000 vehicle after all. If you want to go way high, you can actually get into a Volvo XC90 with a plug-in hybrid system. Now, that plug-in hybrid version starts at over $67,000, so it's a pretty big jump up. But being a plug-in hybrid, it does offer increased pure EV driving capabilities. Though I suspect the dollar to MPG and the dollar to performance, the dollar to value ratio of this vehicle is near the top of the class. I mean, you're getting 30 MPG, it's very luxurious, makes great use of its space, it's well contented for $60,000. I'm really lacking for nothing in this vehicle, which is rare to say about most vehicles. It's also worth noting that 3.5 V6, when it does kick in, actually sounds pretty good too. It's actually pretty charismatic sounding. And this thing is actually pretty quick and pretty agile on its toes if you do need to mash the gas on occasion. Now, I know I mentioned a fair amount of stats about this vehicle, and that's because stats do really kind of help you understand the basic hardware behind a vehicle. But it is worth noting that I've now driven this thing 360 miles, and I'm averaging a real-world figure of 28.1 mpg, at least according to the in-car trip computer. But these things are never perfectly accurate, so let's head to the fuel station and see what sort of mpg this thing has really got after a week of driving. Okay, so I've just stopped to fuel the RX up, and honestly, I can scarcely believe what I'm seeing. I'm pretty good with mental math. I think these numbers are pretty solid. I ended up driving 374.5 miles. Excuse me, 374.8 miles, and I used just 11.63 gallons of fuel. That's a real-world MPG figure of 29.91 MPG. Dead on the 30 MPG averages that it said this thing would do. Considering the in-car trips that I was averaging 28.1, I'm really impressed with that figure. That's awesome. That it is dead on the EPA estimate with how I've been driving this car is awesome. I haven't been on some sort of MPG eco run. I've been driving this car as normally as possible, and to be in a nice luxury SUV that gets 30 miles to the gallon with no real effort is just commendable. It's awesome. It's really nice. So props to Lexus for that, but there's one thing left in this review I have to talk about before we can wrap it all up, and that is the window sticker and the options on this car. So let's jump into it. All right, last number crunch in this review. I promise it's time to talk about the window sticker of this vehicle, because while the RX does have a base MSRP of $46,750, obviously this car has options on it like all press cars do. Now, first up, that $46,750 figure is a bit of a misnomer because that does not include the $1,025 mandatory destination charge that comes on pretty much every new vehicle nowadays. That automatically takes you up to over $47K. Now, from there, this car does have some really pricey options, some of which I really find value in, some of which I absolutely don't. So let's talk about it. First one is the blind spot monitor with intuitive parking assist, panoramic view monitor, and rear cross traffic braking. That's a $1,865 option, and I absolutely think it's worth it. I'm a big proponent of, when you are backing up a vehicle, especially a larger SUV like this, having as much visibility around you as possible. This backup camera not only gives you a bird's eye view facing down so you can see how close you are to a curb, for example, but also has that super wide view rear backup camera, and the rear cross traffic alert with the automatic braking is just really nice. It's one of those great safety features that really prevents you from having any sort of low speed parking accident, which is very, very common. Definitely worth taking that box. Next up are the optional 20-inch wheels, a $1,130 option. 18s are standard. Now again, I'm a sucker for nice wheels in a car. I think the 20s look really great against the bodywork of this vehicle. I would opt for the 20s, but if you don't care as much about the aesthetics of the car, you can skip that. After the wheels is the color head-up display for $600. Now, I would skip it in this vehicle just because it doesn't give you that great of information, because in some cars the head-up display is really cool, it has all these great displays and information and tech, but this is pretty basic. It just tells you the direction you're going, engine RPM, and your speed. You can skip it. Up next are heated and ventilated front seats for $640. Yep, no rear heated seats in this car apparently, but that's okay. I would take this option. I like the ventilated seats in this car. They're really effective, really quick, really nice right now. It's a nice hot day. Next up, triple beam LED headlamps, cornering lamps, front LED turn signals, and fog lamps for $1,675. Now, I'm a big fan of adaptive headlights, which is what these are. Now, basically, these triple beam LED headlights have great nighttime usability. The view out of this car at night is amazing. But the adaptive feature, you know, with the automatic high beam and being able to go around corners and rotate and turn with the car, worth the money. Nighttime visibility to me is one thing I really value in new cars, and this car has great headlights on it and made only better with that option. Next up is the panoramic moonroof for $1,850. I kind of glossed over it in this review. I would actually skip it in this car. Now, I don't like panoramic sunroofs in pretty much any vehicle, but unfortunately, while you do have this really cool double panel glass, only the front section pulls back. It doesn't go all the way back, so not that much usability there. I would skip that. Okay, next up is the big one. I mentioned this in the review, but this is the $3,365 12.3-inch screen with navigation and the Mark Levinson 15-speaker premium audio system. Now, the car out of the box comes with an 8-inch screen. It's okay. The 12.3-inch screen is really pretty. And again, when you use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, it looks so nice. And while the built-in nav is not good, the Mark Levinson audio is excellent, so definitely tick that box. Okay, up next is touch-free power rear door kick sensor. I don't like kick sensors on any car. Basically, you swipe your foot under the rear bumper of this car and the hatch opens automatically. It's hit and miss on literally every car that has that feature. You can skip that and be totally fine. Next up is the $800 premium package, which includes power folding auto dim mirrors with memory seating for the driver's seat, and wood ornamentation. Skip this too. I've never once used the memory seat feature in a vehicle. I know if you share the car with your spouse or maybe even your kids, if you're older or whatever, it could be nice, but do you really need to drop $800 on that? No, skip it. The last few items are small dollar things. Illuminated door sills for $385. It says Lexus. They light up at night. It's neat. Okay, I'll give you a pass on that. Last up is one I would definitely skip if you can, but more often than not, this is one of those things the dealers bundle in. You don't have a choice in the matter. But for $315, you get a rear cargo net, a cargo mat, wheel locks, and a key glove. Talk about useless stuff. Oh well. All of that brings our price to $59,525 plus the aforementioned $1,025 delivery fee, bringing your total up to $60,550. Now, more often than not, I know people are just going on the lot and buying cars they have there available that day. But if you do have the option of ordering a car exactly how you want it, I think if you're really careful about how you spec this car up, you can get out of the dealership with a really great solid purchase for right around 57 grand. It's easy to see why the RX has become the ubiquitous choice, parked in suburban driveways all over the country. And this hybrid model in particular is a no-brainer upgrade over the regular RX350. So, if you're looking for a quiet, stylish, and luxurious family SUV, look no further.